This Washington Commanders team preview edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Circus Sports. Circus Sports is giving away $14 million this NFL season. Sign up in Vegas and play from anywhere. Get all the info over at circusports.com. We're also brought to you by our Patreon. Score exclusive perks and free content available only to our patrons at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon.
Hey everybody, Joe Theismann here. You're listening to SGPN. So do this, let it ride.
Cox. He's one of those guys who will get penetration.
Welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, stacking the money green with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer?
We did have a long meeting with the social team to decide what name to put on the thumbnail here. We're talking about the Washington football team, aka the Washington Commanders, aka the Washington Redskins, aka the Washington to be named later.
Yeah, we got to break down the odds for the Washington Commanders. Of course, we're doing 32 NFL team previews. But Ryan, even before we get to the Washington Commanders team preview, breaking news: the deal got done. Saquon Barkley.
Oh, not Dan Snyder.
Right.
I'm sorry. Not Dan Snyder.
Grab that Saquon Barkley doll.
I was waiting for it to happen on the air.
Get
out of here.
Rip off his ribbon. He doesn't care about running backs. I'm picking up that ribbon because unlike Barkley, I care about running backs.
I care about the Giants. You're staying right here, Mr. Barkley. I love the way you crossed the picket line. Is it still called the picket line?
What was he saying on the Zoom? Like, was he on the running back Zoom going, yeah, guys, we got to stand up for what we believe in. And then like while he's texting his agent, okay, yeah, I'll take essentially the franchise tag and maybe get 500,000, like 900.
What if the conversation's the other way? And hey, agent, you fucked me. Austin Eckler said the best because Austin Eckler organized the call. Saquon probably said, hey, my buddy Austin said the best move right now is to get as much as you can get in incentives. I want to go to camp because I'm a team first guy. I want to be there with my guy DJ. I want to help Eric Gray get the quads that I have. I want to be a team player. So get me to camp, figure it out. And he got a little bit in incentive money. A lot of those incentives are tied to the team. Joe Shane is a fucking genius. That's the scary part to the rest of the league. That's the scary part to you. Not the only team with a nerd. Now, Sean. Speaking of teams without a nerd,
if I'm Saquon, how can he have the same agent? Because
gotta fire him.
The deal he got offered during the year was much better.
He's loyal. He's loyal to a fault. That's what screwed him in these negotiations. I think also probably John Mara texting him being like, "Hey, dude, if you're on the field, you're very valuable to marketers." So I do think it would be surprising if Saquon doesn't have some change to his representation after this, because not only did he obviously get the worst of the potential deal, but the dudes like facts have come out from all the different beat reporters in Giants land. So I do believe the data that he was offered essentially a 3-year deal that would look something like the deal that Nick Chubb or Derrick Henry signed if it was shortened to 3 years. So they screwed up. Tough luck, Saquon. And you know what? Perfect time to not have Dave Gettleman as your GM. Speaking of which, great time to transition because as I was doing the research for the Commanders, dueling thoughts on who the top ranking executive is.
Oh,
did you know that?
What do you mean?
Well, I think. Let's see. I wrote it down because I was completely unfamiliar with this guy, Martin Mayhew.
You wait. Who's he?
The GM of the Commanders.
Yes,
according to the internet, Wikipedia.
Yeah.
But if you go to Over the Cap, which is a salary cap site, top executive Ron Rivera. So,
well, we'll get to old Ron Rivera. I feel like
anyway,
new ownership, they're going to shake things up.
Any parting words for the tabloids? Maybe a great job, Ryan. You were right all along.
Great job,
Ryan. You called it. You nailed it. Perfect. Drafting Saquon in the second and third round was a genius move by you.
I never thought he wasn't going to play. I thought maybe they'd get down to the wire. And well, also, I mean, who are these news reporters? Your Adam Schefters, your Mike Flores.
Frauds.
Everyone said they can't sign a deal. Hey, what was the point of having that deadline if you could sign a deal after that deadline? What do I not understand?
News?
Is it just
why does Elon change the name of Twitter to X? News?
I have no idea.
News.
All right. Hey guys, first off, big thanks and continued thanks to everyone who signed up for our newly launched Patreon, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. Take on the war on corporate gambling. We got them running scared. Appreciate all the Patreon signups. Again, Patreon only Discord channel. You got the Patreon only episode. Sports Gambling Podcast Stories, new show, just me and Ryan, uncensored, all the behind the scenes stuff. Lenny extra voicemails, Ryan being hypnotized. We're going to play some episodes from the archive as well for the Patreons. Bonus on top of bonus and exclusive merch and Kramer's picks sheets, these beautiful spreadsheets we got here. And
all right. So I do
and the free roll contest. So
have to address the pick sheets are literally the spreadsheets we've been using for 13 years to track our podcast picks.
Yeah, so you can go hard in the paint.
Well, I have heard the people that are like, "Hey, can you send me the picks? I was driving when I was listening to the episode." Bam.
Yeah.
Created a solution for you.
Very easy.
And my spreadsheets are fucking awesome.
And I'm chatting in the Patreon Discord right now, asking, hey, what do you guys want to do for the contest this week? Obviously, once NFL season starts, I think the contest will be either Pick'ems, DFS.
Oh, I think isn't it just a weekly DFS contest?
Yeah,
that seems like on brand for us.
Well, what are we gonna? But what sport do you do right now? We don't have preseason DFS, which I think will be the go-to contest.
One more week, and we have This is the last weekend.
So we are going to have a showdown slate for the Hall of Fame game. Oh man, I can't wait. I can't wait.
This is the last week where we don't have real football to talk about, Sean.
Yes.
So, all right. Let's
National Football League.
Let's figure out that contest.
All right. We will work on that, but let's talk all things Washington Commanders. Obviously, new owner, potentially new name. Why don't we just start with there? Buddies over at Bet Online tweeted out. They're setting
the
odds.
Ownership trade. It's done, right? We're 100%.
Yes, whatever that.
No, like late financing mishaps gonna happen.
It's all clear. He got fined $60 million on the way out. Pocket change for walking around money for old Dan Snyder.
Where will he pop his head up next? When will Dan Snyder is going to enter a new industry? Because these kind of psychos.
Will he be added to the Ring of Honor in the new Washington Stadium? That would be the ultimate troll.
What will his? I can't wait to see where he shows up.
Yeah, I bet he'll buy some other team. He has to. He has to. All right. So odds for the next name of the Washington NFL franchise, Redskins is the long shot, 50-1.
Stop right there. Well, I mean, I understand that it was offensive, and then I actually went down this deep dive because Colby says a lot of crazy shit in the office, and sometimes it needs to be validated. And while a lot of his Dan Snyder's takes were horrible, it does appear that his in touchness with Redskins fans circa early 90s to mid 90s, maybe even late 90s was accurate. The new stadium sucked, which was a Dan Snyder thing. And I think he was onto something. So what were you were talking about something specific? Cause I actually went and solved the problem.
Redskins.
Oh, it turns out that was something he's actually right about. There actually weren't a ton of people clamoring for a name change.
No, it was one
literally
guy
driven by a small lobbyist group that had nothing to do with Native Americans and a reporter. So 50-1, you saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the place would go nuts.
Better bet Sam Howell MVP or Redskins to be the next name.
Oh man, I guess I would take Redskins. Monuments, you couldn't come up with a worse name. 33-1.
The name would be the Monument. That's like Stanford Cardinal.
Yeah, that is stupid.
Horrible. You gonna have a tree as your mascot?
Red Pigs.
No,
that doesn't.
What's
work.
a red pig?
I mean, that's 20-1. Some of these can't be real. The Washington Owls are 14-1.
Imagine if they were the Owls.
Who?
They are fierce predators. I will say.
Owls are underrated badass.
In our animal theme.
Washington Crimson 14-1.
What?
Washington Wolves, which I have heard Andrew Robb, I know, is a big advocate. He likes the Red Wolves, but they just have Wolves listed here 12-1. Sentinels 12-1. Senators 12-1. Red Tails 12-1. I think that actually has some history tied to it. The Defenders 12-1, just stealing XFL names. The DCs 12-1, horrible name. The Brigade 12-1, horrible name.
The Brigade.
Ambassadors 12-1. What are we talking about? Come on, 12. The Presidents. That's
have we had a team named the Presidents?
Of all the names, that one at least is kind of interesting. But now the politics have gotten so divisive. It's just alternating every 4 years. 55% of the country hates the president. So I don't know if that works. Washington Armada.
These are all horrible names.
I would go Washington Seals, like in honor of the Navy SEALs, would be kind of badass if you
we
you
like
change
seals.
the color scheme.
Seals get eaten by a lot of stuff, though.
But they're kind of badass.
This one, Sea Dragon.
Ryan is wearing a Sea Dragon shirt.
I got the Sea Dragon shirt. They are.
This one is my personal favorite. Listed at 9-1, and I would not recommend betting this. Because if as an Eagles fan, this is my dream scenario. Imagine Week 4 matchup against the Washington Magicians. I would not stop laughing for the rest of my life if they rename the team the Magicians.
Oh, is that real?
Yeah. Well, according to Bet Online.
What does magic have to do with the city of Washington?
I guess their basketball team's the Wizards. I have no idea.
Nixon made some stuff disappear.
So did Bill Clinton. A little cigar disappear.
Kennedy's.
Yeah.
He was making stuff come in and out all the time.
Yeah. Red Hogs 8-1.
These are all horrible.
He's one of those guys who will get penetration.
Football team is 7-1. I mean, it should be football team. Spartans is the favorite at 6-1.
Magic's involved here. Does that at all change your handicap?
Oh, that's why. That's probably why Magicians got on there.
Hey guys, very excited to debut everyone our new name, the Washington Magic.
That's probably why Magic Johnson's Washington football team. You know how he added?
That is where the Magicians came from.
It must have been
insane.
because Magic Johnson. He did a great job revitalizing South Los Angeles, South Central, where he went in and he bought a lot of businesses, turned them around, brought in a lot of chain restaurants and chain businesses that weren't there before. But it was just hilarious because he would name them. It would be like Magic Johnson's Starbucks, Magic Johnson's Regal Cinemas.
That was the joke. If you started seeing Magic Johnson's anything, you'd probably heading in the wrong direction. Real quick Magic story. I got to see him talk one time at a business conference to a bunch of business professionals. I really, really hope that he does a similar kind of motivational speech to players. Well, he just had people he basically explained to the room that being great requires being magic. And so everyone should be a little bit more like Magic.
If only his talk show would have been as magical.
You know what? If that talk show comes around today, I think it's successful.
All right, let's look back at the Washington Commanders 2022. They were 8-1. They pushed on their win total of 8.
Do you remember them being a 500 team?
No, and I think one of the guides I was reading, they're like, I must have blacked out because I had no recollection.
He's like, I don't remember this.
Yeah, and so the NFC East. I mean, everyone gave them shit for so many years, but really, I mean, you had the team that went to the Super Bowl, aka the Eagles. Cowboys had a good regular season record. Giants got into the playoffs, got a win against the paper soft Vikings, and then Washington was the bottom of the barrel. They were still 8-1. We had them both going 7-10, so not too far off there.
You missed the tie. Our bad.
The DVOA rank was 22. Offensive DVOA was really the issue. 28th. I mean, they 9th in defensive DVOA. And they didn't even get a lot of turnovers. That defense, looking back on the numbers, doing the research, they kind of had a historical defensive performance, especially if you factor in that they weren't getting, I think they were -5 in turnover differential.
Yeah, I would say it's one of those things where it generally you would be talking about wow, when this defense does get some turnover regression, they're going to be quite good. They're already quite good. You also sprinkle in the fact that Chase Young, a lot of TMZ guys would probably assume that it was because of Chase Young that they were an elite defense. Incorrect. And so imagine if this dude comes back, he flashed a little bit, I guess, down the stretch, got called out in the offseason by the coach in terms of not being a football guy, not putting football first. That's Ron Rivera's one. That's Riverboat Ron's one trick. Locker
room integrity is probably the only value Ron Rivera brings, and
it's kind of an important one. I mean, look,
and I get why they brought him in. They were trying to steady the ship. They were trying to build culture in Washington. He is Jeff Fisher. I keep saying this, but he really is.
It's good. It's a good comp.
Ron Rivera. Last time he had a winning season, 2017. They both got to one Super Bowl, didn't win it. Came up Panthers really got their ass kicked, but I blame Cam Newton's gold cleats for that one. He's had 12 seasons. Only 3 of those years he's had a winning season. However, on the other side, he always wins more than 5 games. There's like 1-5-11 season, but it's a lot of like 7-9s, 6-10s, that kind of stuff. And then he had that 15-1 year, but other than that, it's just kind of Ron Rivera is who he is. Very low ceiling. He does feel like a lame duck coach because you bring in Eric Bieniemy, a big name offensive coordinator. This feels like an audition for Eric Bieniemy to be a head coach, either for Washington or another team, because the big knock on Bieniemy, at least what it seems, who knows why he wasn't getting jobs. Plenty of theories, but he would go people would knock him because it's like, oh, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid's calling the plays. What is Eric Bieniemy doing? If Eric Bieniemy comes to Washington and this offense looks good, he's immediately going to get a head coaching job.
Yeah, 3 core reasons he hasn't gotten a job so far. He's black. He isn't doing anything because Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid are there. And the third one, which is probably the real one, is he's a motherfucker. Documented all the way back to his time as a player, a motherfucker.
There's some off the field stuff.
Players have come out and talk shit openly. One of them's about to have a high profile hot take job soon.
LaShawn McCoy,
aka Shady McCoy.
Love LaShawn McCoy.
So I think people have kind of backed into the theory that you're talking about. Why would he take the job? Well, that's why.
I think
because maybe it's an easy step to a head coaching job, either there or somewhere else.
If he goes to Washington and the offense even looks like decent, above average, he is immediately going to get hired. I'll make that prediction. If Washington has a top 12 offense, Eric Bieniemy is immediately going to be a head coach.
And you think he's getting hired for the Washington job or somewhere else, basically?
Well, I think Ron Rivera is on an incredibly short leash.
So you think that? So what does that mean for this year? So Bieniemy, like that, you're kind of talking yourself, I think, into them overperforming this year. Because at first it was like, oh, they're going to be shitty. They're going to drop their coach. They're going to swap coaches to Bieniemy. They're going to get Caleb Williams. That was always the plan. But now there's a nuance to the.
But to that other side, I don't know if I'm Eric Bieniemy, I don't know if I'm hitching my wagon to Sam Howell. Now, maybe this was the only or what he thought was the best job, because Ron Rivera should be on the hot seat. I mean, if you're a head coach and you get hired in your first 3 years, you don't have a winning season, usually you get fired. Now, one of those years he did get into the playoffs because they won the division, but normally you're fired. So
Sean,
I think he maybe saw that as an opportunity.
We probably should have done this together, but did you happen to go back and watch any of the Sam Howell tape from last year?
No. Well, because the one game he played, I felt like I couldn't really get that much from it because it was a meaningless game.
And personally, I remember some highlights, and so I obviously have been fairly high on him this offseason. Sean, if you don't look at the highlights from that game, I would say it would leave greater pause to me that, I think a lot of people are building him up in the offseason.
Yeah,
receivers are saying the right thing. The coaches are committed to him, but they do have Jacoby Brissett.
Yes,
in the win.
They did bring in Jacoby Brissett, but listen to this. And really, the biggest issue for the Commanders has been quarterback. This is the quarterbacks.
We haven't said Carson Wentz yet.
And if I'm Ron Rivera, we're gonna get to him. If we're Ron Rivera, I'm hanging my hat on. Give me a quarterback. Give me a goddamn chance.
Carson Wentz. I got you, quarterback.
Yeah, they said they weren't in on Lamar Jackson. They're not into paying a lot for big money quarterbacks. Meanwhile, they traded a bunch of picks and $28 million in salary for Carson Wentz. If Frank Reich wanted to get rid of Carson Wentz, you knew it was a bad pickup. It'd be like if I was trying to get rid of some Eagles memorabilia, or you would go, wait, this guy loves Eagles memorabilia. Why is he getting rid of it? Shouldn't that be a red flag?
This is how you know Carson Wentz had elite tools. Is he was still generating value after he failed twice.
What the Eagles got for Carson Wentz, it's crazy. It's like Devonta Smith, AJ Brown, and Jalen Carter because of all the Howie machinations.
And he's being referred to as one of the elite free agents still on the market. Like what are we missing? If a team signs Carson Wentz, it's an immediate downgrade. What team just signs Carson Wentz where you're not like immediate downgrade? Because I have a feeling I have a hunch where he could go.
I'm surprised he didn't end up in Arizona. Honestly,
I have a hunch. I know where he's going to be.
Arizona, I thought. I mean, as much as I like to shit on Carson Wentz, Arizona kind of would have made sense. But
you know where he's going to end up? Man of the cloth. Frank's down in Carolina now.
I don't know. No, dude, he's completely out.
You think so?
100%. Yeah.
Carson Wentz does not get signed this year.
Oh, that I do think he gets signed.
Who gets signed first? Kenny
thing.
Galladay, Zeke Elliott, or Carson Wentz?
Zeke, I don't think wants to play.
I've broken the news about how his murals have been removed in the Dallas Fort Worth area.
Kenny Galladay, I don't think there's any market for. Zeke, I do think there will be late because he doesn't want to exercise. And I think Carson Wentz is just waiting for someone to get injured. So I would say of those, I actually think Wentz will get signed first. Of those three, I would guess Wentz, just because I think someone's going to get injured. And if you do sign a quarterback, you want him in for training camp. So
yeah,
here's just real quick the list of starting quarterbacks for Ron Rivera. Ron Rivera.
How many years? This is like 3 years, right?
Yeah, 3 years. Dwayne Haskins, 4 weeks. R.I.P.
Yeah, Jesus.
Kyle Allen, 4 weeks. Alex Smith, 5 weeks. Dwayne Haskins, 2 weeks. Alex Smith, 1 week. That's the end of 2020. Ryan Fitzpatrick, 1 week.
Oh, best one by far.
But he got injured. Taylor Heineke, 12 weeks. Garrett Gilbert, 1 week due to injury. Taylor Heineke, 3 weeks. And then that's the end of 2021. Carson Wentz, 6 weeks.
Oh.
Taylor Heineke, 9 weeks. Carson Wentz, 1 week. Sam Howell, 1 week. So again, if I'm Ron Rivera's agent, I'm like, dude, give me a quarterback.
So real quick nugget on the Taylor Heineke 9-game stretch when they went 5-3-1. During that stretch, the receivers dropped the lowest percentage of targets in the league.
Yes.
The defense dropped 7 interceptions, and this is the craziest part. He led the league in turnover worthy plays.
Yes, I remember watching it and being like, "This dude has something going on. Like, how do these guys keep dropping these balls? Like, what's going on?"
He had the lowest interception rate in the NFL over that time, and he had the highest turnover play rate. That doesn't make sense. That's like the crazy hot line.
But the other thing is, why did they get rid of Taylor Heineke?
Well, maybe that's why. Because the horseshoe is coming out of his ass. He had surgery in the offseason.
He had a winning,
but the thesis is he was incredibly lucky to be there. It was 100% the defense. It had nothing to do with Heineke. If you actually look at the measurables, the difference between Heineke and Carson Wentz weren't that crazy. And it was just.
I'm just saying. I understand why you don't want him as your starter moving forward. But the guy was 5-3-1
as a backup. Maybe.
Yeah. I would have kept him around. I mean, his yards per attempt 7.2. Again, I get he was lucky with the turnover stuff, but Heineke, you could talk yourself into maybe in the Bieniemy system, maybe there's some other place we can get to. Jacoby Brissett, we've already seen his ceiling.
It's the curse of Ryan Fitzpatrick. It's the curse of you're never going to be the team's guy they want. You're always going to be the number 2, but the locker room is going to love you. You're going to play hard. So yeah, I don't know why because Brissett probably gives you a much higher floor, because Brissett's probably a much better classroom guy, better mentor for Sam Howell.
That's probably what it was. Like
True pros pro.
They want a seasoned vet to come in, tell them how it is. All right, bring up the key additions, key losses. So yeah, they did bring in Brissett. Added some depth here on the offensive line. Draft picks. They took Emmanuel Forbes.
Nick Gates coming in at center. I mean, there was a time where he was looking
or guard or center.
He's listed as guard.
Okay.
I would imagine they're going to play him at center. I guess I'm not sure, but he's a guy that, I mean, he full circle. He had the group. He was basically like coming into his own, played every position along the line for the Giants, but was going to be their starting center, was playing, and then gruesome broken leg injury against the Redskins. So much so he was actually listed as comeback player of the year last year. So he got paid this offseason. That's a big upgrade to me. He's a nasty dude. Like, he makes your offense nasty. He's the kind of guy that you definitely are not getting in a fight with. So I like that pickup for them. Any of the draft picks? I mean, Emmanuel Forbes, Sean, no bullshit. I 100% believe you could truck stick him. He's like 162 pounds or something ridiculous.
Well, and their offensive line is interesting. ETR has them ranked 31st, so not good. But
I upgrade that this year.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they're listed at coming into the season. 3 new starters, so
it's going to take some time. I mean, it all to me. I think there's a little bit of the same narrative with the Bucks when it comes to. I don't know. I've seen Brissett be successful with a good offensive line in front of him, and I've never seen like. So I just wonder how these quarterbacks can process behind.
I mean, they do
an
have
offensive line that might not be trustworthy in the beginning.
They do have good receivers. Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel. Yeah, coming back to Chase Young. This is interesting. Well, yeah. Why don't we? All right. Hey, we'll hop to the schedule because I have nuggets on the schedule. Before we get to that, Circa Sports, Ryan. The countdown is on August 24th to 26th. We're going to be out in Las Vegas at Circa Sports, the football contest sign up weekend. Imagine hanging out with a bunch of dudes just talking ball, talking football, signing up for the super contest, of course. Or the Circa Millions. Of course, they're giving away $6 million in the Circa Millions, $8 million in the Circa Survivor, $14 million guaranteed. That is, they always ask Derek, what's the guaranteed? $14 million. Are you kidding me? Sign up in Vegas, play from anywhere. Super fun. Quarterly prizes. They have the booby prizes, $1 million of first place. So many ways to win, to get paid. It is they're just great. No rake as well. So plenty of good reasons to head over to circusports.com, get all the details, get your ass out to Vegas between now and when sign up ends, which is right around that first weekend. So if you're out there for NFL week 1, you can sign up then, or do like a guys trip. Again, we're going to be out there 24th to 26th, always down, crack some cold ones. Like Ryan said, if you're a Patreon, you meet him in person, he has to chug, whatever drink of choice you present to him.
Nah, shot.
Chug.
I have a medical allergy.
But circusports.com, great place, great contest. Couldn't recommend it more. And what better? I mean, Kramer and I are in it. We're in it every year. So, again, our stamp of approval.
This is our year, Sean.
This is the schedule. Interesting schedule because they have 11 days net rest difference, which I feel like we haven't talked a bunch about so far in the previous.
We haven't had a huge worth
because it's usually so far they've been small. 11 days net rest difference is just basically like when you have you're playing a team on Sunday, they're coming off a short week. They're playing on that Monday, whatever. So that would help you in the rest difference. Tied for the league high, but they have the 9th highest schedule based off of win total. So they're obviously playing a tough schedule there, and against a top 5 schedule of opposing offense. The Commanders defense finished number 1 in success rate, 10th in pressure rate, and 5th in EPA. So their defense was really good last year. My other nugget on the schedule was they play 8 of the top 10 teams in the Super Bowl odds. So I just think that's going to be a lot for Sam Howell. Like when we start walking through, I know he's not technically a rookie, but new system, he's only started 1 game. It just feels like a lot. And if you told me, and again, like you go to the Commander subreddit, like I peruse there.
Oh, what are you doing over there?
Well, every team we do the team previews, I like to get in on the
Hey
subreddit.
guys, what you doing?
I like
here?
to get in the subreddit, see what they're talking about. Everything is just about the new owner. They've sold more tickets and suite revenue than all of 2022.
Don't you think that there's some like karmic energy that could potentially affect this team? Riverboat Ron is a collector of karmic energy. He's a relationships guy. He's a leader of men.
I think what's going to happen with this Commanders team, especially like opening day at FedEx Field, I think it's going to sell out. It's going to be electric. It's going to be fuck you, Dan Snyder. And then after that, it's going to kind of be a little deflating, and it'll already, because I think
you're saying that you calling for a dump the Gatorade moment.
Yeah, I think, dude,
first win without Dan.
You don't think the place is going to go nuts?
I wish they had a statue of Dan Snyder for them to knock down, a la Bud Kilmer in Varsity Blues.
You don't think the place is going to go nuts? They have the Cardinals at home week 1. They're only favored in 2 games, Ryan. That shows you how tough that schedule is. The look ahead spreads, they're only favored in 2 games, which is crazy considering, and we haven't even mentioned their win total is also 6.5, make playoffs plus 310, miss playoffs minus 420.
Woo, it's smoking my weed.
Division 13-1, conference 30-1, Super Bowl 65-1.
Without having walked through the schedule and just kind of generic reaction to the NFC East here. 13-1. I mean, crazy shit happens. It's not like this roster is void of talent. It's a question about the quarterback and the offensive line. That basically every other position they've answered the question. I think we both agree they have at minimum above average talent at the running back receiver position. I think at minimum, I mean, they have an elite defensive line potentially.
Yes,
even without Chase Young.
And we didn't really answer the question. Do you think Chase Young's on the roster day 1?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, we are in it, so we obviously have it happening all around us all the time. But this happens every offseason. Yeah, guys want money, right? Do you think they didn't pick up his option? We saw it with Dan Jones last year. Now, if he can be a professional, go out, take care of his business, maybe he gets himself paid. You know, I will never credit Dan Jones, but when they didn't pick up his option, I think he saw it as like, okay, chip on my shoulder. I don't know what he was doing work ethic wise before, but Chase Young, I don't know, like part of the reason they're not picking up his option, part of the reason they didn't pick up Dan Jones's option is because they didn't think he was a good quarterback. Chase Young, it seems like more. Yeah, 4 years, you don't really know. Chase Young, Chase Young, it seemed like they didn't pick it up because he's not putting in the work. Joe Shane always talks about re-signing your own is a safer bet because you understand how they work. You understand their day to day already. You're not going to get surprised by anything. And to your point, if it's just purely like we don't want to, like this doesn't matter if he shows us this year, we don't want to pay this guy, then that's an interesting dynamic to have. But that still makes Chase Young hungry. And that probably still makes him an added benefit for this defense. Although I went back and I was reading some of the stuff about Chase Young. It's not just his effort and want to play football. He also was there was some negative commentary over the years about his willingness to play team ball. He wants. That's what Rivera was like calling out. Yeah, he didn't play within the scheme. I think Rivera was also calling out his want to like be a great player. Like he could be great. Why aren't you willing to be a great player? But yeah, I do think he's playing. I do think that defensive line is going to be tough to deal with. I think in general, it's a Ron Rivera team, so the defense is going to be tough. I mean, Ron Rivera is such a leader of men, Sean. Yes. That Jack Del Rio survived the dust up. And Dan Snyder being the Del Rio is still the defensive coordinator, right? Yeah. He's kind of flying under. How many coaches is he coaching under where he survives that incident? Literally coaches at the hilarious. I mean. Anyway, I think this team. I hate to say it, but I think while the floor is incredibly low because the thought of they want Rivera out, they want Bieniemy in, and they want Caleb Williams as the quarterback. Oh yeah, they're setting that up nicely. I just don't think the football team is that calculated or strategic, and I think they're going to be trying to win like some of the other teams we've talked about here down the bottom because this is not a team signaling for next year. All right, should we talk Anything else you want to add about the schedule or notes?
No,
or
I think we kind of got it.
let's see. I'm just rattling through. We 5-3 in one score games. They were the only team to finish under 500 who was above 500 in one score game. So if you believe in that type of regression, it's coming. Sean kind of highlighted earlier though, Ron Rivera, kind of a guy who doesn't have a lot of regression either way, just right down the middle. All right.
No, he's Jeff Fisher and
Yeah, right down the middle. The regression might not be coming because it's right down the middle until he has that 4-12 season because he doesn't have Sam Bradford anymore. All right. Week 1, like you mentioned, could be a culminating moment. They open with the Cardinals at home. No Dan Snyder. Maybe a parade after the first game. I worth noting, one of the games they're favored in, they're laying 5.5 here. I do think I love this matchup defensively, and I think maybe this could be the public dog that has all the fleas this week. Then they have that Broncos.
Yeah, I mean, who's picking the Cardinals?
I think a lot of people are going to find their way to get cute and pick the Cardinals.
Really?
Yeah.
See, that's you doing your like
double reverse.
Yeah. Oh, the Sam Howell, be enemy.
Well, it's at -5.5 because they don't know either. All right, at Broncos, we always love Broncos early
tough
season.
Spot.
Late, you know what they say? Lay to 3.5. Don't take it. Bills at home. Ooh, this really is a tough schedule, especially some really tough defenses there. Weeks 2, 3, 4, and at Eagles. All right, so
you go at Denver, which I'm high on the Broncos.
Very
defense.
tough stretch.
Early elevation, always a tough spot. Bills at home, that's not a cakewalk by any means. And then at Philly, like they won in Philly last year, so Eagles are definitely going to have them on their radar. Again, Washington does compete in the division. Do you have their division record last year? Because I don't think it was.
They beat the Cowboys, they beat the Eagles, they tied the Giants, and they lost the rest. So
yeah. Well, and the Cowboys one was meaningless. But again,
they won. They were
typical division games. That's why
1-3-1.
Just take the dog.
1-3-1 when you don't when you exclude that meaningless game. So
I got them going 1-3 here.
Yeah,
I think they beat the Cardinals, and it's tough to make a case for these other games.
Which game is the surprising game? If this team is randomly good, the enemy maybe has some tricks to deal with Josh Allen and the Bills.
Yeah,
no.
I mean, I think it would be
to your point.
Home.
The Eagles aren't losing because they lost last year.
I think it would be at home against the Bills because Washington.
The Bills might suck this year.
Well, because
2 years removed from Dable.
Well, because when does Josh Allen get in trouble? He gets in trouble when he turns it over against physical defenses. Which Washington has. So I think
I like where your head's at.
If they get the 2 wins, I think it actually is at home against the Bills.
Yeah, I'll go 1. Let's be a little down on this opening stretch of the season, which obviously if that happens, we're talking about Mr. Ron Rivera on the hot seat, plus 700 right now for his coach to be fired, according to Bet Online. Who do you think the favorite is?
Favorite to be first coach fired.
Because Ron Rivera definitely would have been up there for me. Todd Bowles is another team we already talked about.
Todd Bowles is up there.
He's second favorite at 6.
Jonathan Gannon
nowhere near somehow.
That was great when Urban Meyer was the first coach fired, because to be the first year head coach,
someone got paid on that one.
Get the first fired.
It's Mike McCarthy 5-1. All right. Which is just excellent and doesn't make any sense.
But also too,
he was the first coach to be fired last year too. He's the top guy.
I mean, here's the thing: like they'll be bad, but the Cowboys never fire in season.
Yeah, no, they don't have. We need that's a good day to have. All right, so 1-3, both of us.
Yeah.
Then we have Chicago at home, the second game and the last game where they're projected today to be a favorite. Then you have at Falcons. Sean and I are just going to be dueling on these games all year. The Falcons might go 16-0 for the opposing teams as we pick it. At Giants and then Eagles again. Why do the Eagles always play the football team twice early?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, dating back to 2017 where they played them opening day.
Seems like
won me $200,000
like every year. Eagles football team stacked early. Eagles Giants stacked late, and Cowboys Giants split across the board. They got to get some new tricks there in the scheduling office. Maybe use AI, guys. Maybe try robots. I think they definitely beat. I think the Bears. They're a horrible matchup for the Bears. I do think that's one where I'm circling it right now. I might actually go bet the fact that they're laying less than a field goal here. I think they're going to be completely able to just stop Justin Fields and whatever. Like talk about maybe the easiest defense they'll face in the early part of the stretch outside of the Cardinals. So
yeah.
Falcons, Giants. I mean, there are some winnable games there.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 2-2.
They don't generally beat the Giants. Just facts. They were lucky to get a tie last year. They kind of caught the Giants at a low point.
I mean, division games in the NFC is generally a coin toss unless it's Eagles Giants.
Yeah, they split. They split.
We dominate you guys.
They split the Eagles every year, basically, right?
Yeah, a lot of years. I don't know what the split is off the top of my head. It's not. I mean,
I'll go 2-2.
We dominate the Giants. Just to make that clear.
We're not. We're actually talking about. I mean, you sound like you're nervous, you're shaking your boots.
Oh, I'm nervous.
Shaking in your boots.
I mean, they can get a win. I think they either beat the Bears or the Falcons, and then I think they win one of those division spots as well.
And worth noting that,
and it's going to be the Giants.
The Chicago game is a Thursday night game.
Thursday night at home, you got to win that game.
And
I'll go 2-2.
And of course, as mentioned, the Giants Falcons even though it's it's split in the column there, but it is a back-to-back road spot. So a little rest disadvantage for the boys in Washington. All right, next 4. So we're both at 3 and 5. Then we have another back-to-back road spot here at Patriots at Seahawks. That's a big one. Can't even have bro time culture build and stay on the West Coast. You got to have this nonsense.
That is a brutal. I mean, Ryan, just read off these.
And then Giants at Cowboys. So it's 3 road games in 4 weeks. Seahawks. The defense doesn't project to be all that good. But Patriots and Cowboys should have good defenses. All of these spots.
Some of these spreads. Are
they not right?
Well, at Giants, they're getting 2.5 points, but then at home against the Giants, they're getting 5.5. That must be backwards.
It must be backwards.
Okay. Let's see. Patriots, Seahawks. Man, I'm not even high on the Patriots or Seahawks, but those are in those stadiums. Those are tough. At Cowboys, is that Thanksgiving, Ryan, or no?
The Cowboys is the Thanksgiving game.
So actually, they will win that because Cowboys never win on Thanksgiving.
I wonder. I hate that Seattle's a back-to-back road spot because I do think that's a very winnable game for them. I think Gino and that team specifically is going to struggle with teams with stout defensive fronts. Do I go 2-2 here? That feels like a stretch. 1 and 3.
I'm right on the edge. I'll go 1 and 3.
They don't beat the Giants, so where's the game coming from? 1 and 3.
Yeah, right, 1 and 3.
Next 5. Again, late bye week. I don't love for this team.
Not for a young quarterback.
Dolphins at home late. Bye week at Rams at Jets.
Again, that's a brutal. Well, I guess it's not. It is back-to-back road spots. The Jets isn't crazy travel, but still, I'm higher on the Rams. But
again, it's like both of their back-to-back road spots include one East Coast Northeast trip and one far West Coast trip. So, and then you have Niners and Cowboys to close it out. Last year, they had a meaningless game versus the Cowboys that they won Week 18. So that's always on the table.
Well, see, I think they get the win at Dallas, but then they lose against Dallas at home.
Assuming this game.
49ers. I think that's going to be a tough matchup for Sam Howell, even at home. Their defense at Jets. Jets are kind of like a
massive wild card for me.
Massive wild card, but I do think they kind of profile similar to the Commanders, but just a better quarterback. Still massive questions.
So that's actually for the Jets. That's the single home game they have in a Week 15 on. The league was so hell bent on giving the Jets early season like good spots at home. They finished 3 out of 4 on the road. This Washington game might be an interesting like home letdown spot for the Jets.
I got them going 1 and 4.
1 and 4 here.
Yeah. I mean, where are the wins?
I mean, I think the Rams by this time could be a very bad team.
Okay.
I think the Jets are a wild card to me.
Dolphins in cold weather, yeah, maybe, but
the Cowboys and
yeah, because I don't think they beat the Cowboys twice. I do think they beat them Thanksgiving.
Well, if I say 2 and 3, what do I got them going?
Is
that 7 and 10?
I hadn't been typing yours in.
Oh my god. Oh my god. You know I got 17 things going on over here. I went 2-2, 2-2, 1-3.
Yes.
2-3. That's 7.
So you got him going 7 and 10. You know what? That week 9 to week 12, I'm going to upgrade him to 2 and 2 from 1 and 3. I think
you want to get an over in here, huh?
No, I'm under 6.5. But again, I mean, and even like they're an interesting team because I think they do have a really low floor. Like if things go wrong, it's a transition year, whatever. But even like those, as far as like prop bets of like least teams, you know, like team with fewest wins, last team to get a win. None of those seem to be priced very.
I think they're
very.
I disagree. I think their floor is higher than we think.
I guess because of their defense.
And they have Brissett.
That's true too. But
Brissett is not at minimum. He's gonna go out there and he's gonna play the system. He's gonna hand the ball off to their 3 running backs.
That's the other thing is, Ryan, does Jacoby Brissett play without injury? Because I don't think he does. I think they're going to give Sam Howell this year.
Yeah, I think
the only reason we see Brissett is injury. But again, if their defense is carrying the team, they have a shot at the playoffs. You could see Brissett kind of getting in there late. I'm going under. It's a slight under.
Man, to your point, I don't know. Oh, this is tough. Yeah, let's finish your point. Sorry.
No, like I think their win total is one of the tougher ones because it's weird. Like you look at the roster's pretty good. The defense is pretty good, but then you look at the schedule, like they're only favored in 2 games, and walking through that schedule, it is brutal. They get the net rest, but just look at the teams they're playing. 8 of the 10 teams they're playing are in the top 10 Super Bowl odds. Like they're just, I mean, part of it is they're playing in a really tough division, and then even their out of division games, they're not easy. At Seattle, at New England.
They definitely. I'll put the schedule.
I mean,
back
at Rams,
they definitely caught some.
I think it's tougher than people think.
So they're like at Broncos, at Seattle,
at Broncos week 2.
At
you don't want to
Rams.
play them early. Like what are their? If you had to put your life on a game, it's the Cardinals week 1. Other than that, can you guarantee a Commanders win?
Oh no, I would say I like them when they're laying the points.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think they'll surprise some people. They are always alive in the division. And that's kind of how let's say they win their 2 games they're favored and then they win 4 games as outright dogs, at least now, you know, preseason. I think that's a solid season. You're still under 6.5.
This is a tricky, and so I guess I was a little optimistic with their wins and I got to 7. So if I look back, and maybe the area where you know what, let's downgrade him to 1 and 3 to start the season. I thought I was going to be headed toward an over here.
Yeah. Okay.
But I guess the other part is I've really been influenced by watching Sam Howell play last year.
Dude,
I had a completely different memory of what he looked like.
He only played 1 game, right?
Yeah, and it was because he had a couple sweet ass plays.
Yeah.
But every other play was trash. Very trash worthy.
To me, Sam Howell and Desmond Ridder, people are writing in as like definitely an upgrade from the previous quarterback situation. I think it's possible.
We're asking the same question we asked the year before, which is this quarterback really an upgrade over that quarterback?
Not to go hard on the Atlanta Falcons, but the exact conversation last year was, well, Marcus Mariota has to be better than washed up Matt Ryan. Desmond, and now we're just doing it, but Desmond Ridder has to be better than shitty Marcus Mariota.
100% disagree. Desmond Ridder showed a lot more
than Sam Howell. He did.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah, there's reason to be optimistic, or at least there's reason to think that with a full off season, you could be excited there. I guess you can always be excited about that potential, but
I mean,
5th round pick for a reason. That's my stance. I'm sticking to it.
I have Sam Howell as just a massive, massive unknown. And I think that is obviously, that's going to be the difference between the
should they be a 13-1 dog to win the division though, even with all of that being said?
I think because of, you have some known quantities here. Like I mean,
feels like their ceiling is 9 wins and their floor is like 3 wins, 2 wins.
Yeah.
So I think we've
again, like I think 1-16 is not off the table.
Oh wow.
For Washington. Well, because if the imagine if Sam Howell sucks, what do you do there?
Brissett. That's the part. That's where I get.
But
Brissett's enough to win a game.
Yeah, I guess you have to also take a step in. Like if we had our buddy Sully here, and you were talking to Sully, and if they were like 2-6, is he calling for Jacoby Brissett, or is he just saying fuck it, lose all the games and get Caleb Williams?
Oh, this new hyped up. You know, there's a lot of NBA fans in the new Commanders fan base, so they're gonna want to tank.
I mean, Josh Harris owns the Sixers. This guy loves losing games to get picks.
Actually, yeah, give me the under.
Fucking hate this guy.
Give me the under.
Prop bet I like. Again, Jahan Dotson. Shout out to Penn State. What do you think his touchdowns are set at, Ryan?
I'm always shocked at how low these are. He's got to be higher than 3.5. So I'd say either 4.5 or 5.5.
4.5.
Okay.
And he had 7 last year and only 12 games.
Yeah, he definitely was a touchdown guy last year.
Yeah, but I kind of think that's his profile. I think he could have, regress, still get 5 touchdowns. I wouldn't be surprised. And coming from the Andy Reid coaching tree, Eric Bieniemy, what do they do with guys like Jahan Dotson? They go out of their way to force feed him. Like all that Mickey Mouse shit they drew up for Kadarius Toney, that gets him open, that gets him easy touchdowns.
We didn't even talk about Kadarius Toney.
I know the Kadarius Toney injury is so great.
I don't mean to laugh.
Why? It's
that's the joke.
Okay.
That's the ultimate joke.
Jahan Dotson over 4.5 touchdowns is kind of my favorite here. But yeah, and Nick Fortune in the chat saying hopefully he stays healthy. He is a small frame receiver, so
Sean, who was the
knock on wood for them, but not for me because
who was the offensive coordinator for the MVP last year?
Eric Bieniemy.
Yeah, just I'm not suggesting this, but Sam Howell is 100 to 1. That I almost feel like I need longer odds. Sam Darnold's 150 to 1.
What is Trey Lance, Ryan? We got to just.
Why is he being listed?
You know what I'm going to do on my threads because he's
only 50 to 1.
I signed up for threads and I've never posted on it.
Don't post them.
But
I think they're shutting it down.
I think I'm just going to thread every day about Trey Lance's MVP odds. How is Trey Lance 50 to 1? He's not even the starting quarterback.
Yeah. You know what you should do? You should do a comparison each day.
Yes,
I like Daniel Jones and Dan Jones is 75 to 1. So we're on the same page.
And I'm no massive Daniel Jones fan, but he's starting for the team. He's going to be playing in the games.
Yeah,
it's insane.
Are you interested in anything like a Chase Young to lead the league in sacks?
No,
because he has the talent, 100%.
But
if this motivated him to go get that money.
I mean, what is
he's
the
an
price?
Ohio State guy. They 75 to 1. That stood out to me. We like to give out long shots.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna rain on your 75 to 1 parade, Ryan. But
I'm not even rooting for it to happen.
No. I'm just
right.
saying. I'm just even in his awesome rookie season, he only had 7.5.
Yeah, but I hear you. But you don't generally have elite pass rushers down.
But I don't know. I don't think that he is, Ryan. Okay. And he only played 2 games last year. To me, you could talk me into it a little bit more if something happened personnel wise, like we had a new defensive coordinator, new head coach.
They have 2 elite guys in the middle.
Hey,
Payne just got paid.
I'm not going to talk you out of a 75 to 1.
He can tell Chase Young what it's like to be paid. He's going to be able to feel that money so close to him. I honestly, I came up with my fantasy takes on this team consist of, I think it's a fun team to stack. I think the running backs are relatively cheap. If I was going to bet anything, it's probably a Brian Robinson prop, but I'm not really in the business of taking running back overs for the most part. Cause it's just, other than Dameon Pierce, because it's just, he's an older
so
guy.
What's the prop you like? You want that 75 to 1?
I'll throw the Chase Young most sacks 75 to 1. Cause like I said, I came into this thinking I was going to like the Redskins as a long shot. show the new show daddy, new ownership group, how good they are. But you're right. I mean, the fact that this dude's coming from the process, the fact that Magic Johnson will openly talk about how charismatic athletes are needed to win championships, the fact that Sam Howell and Jacoby Brissett don't appear to be charismatic, and they even lost a quarterback they could have at least promoted a beer nicely in Heineke. So I think unfortunately for our Arizona Cardinal fans, I think they're the more likely team to tank this year, or the more likely team to be railroaded by ownership for one more year, is the Washington football team. And this excitement, the fans will be cool with it because things have been bad so long. Exactly.
They won't care.
They're one of the few fan bases out there that will be like, yeah, let's go. So all right. So now it seems like I've gone from thinking I might be a little bit on the over here to now, should we be talking about least points, fewest wins?
No, because I looked at that price and fewest wins is like 10-1.
Okay.
I mean, I just don't.
Should we have?
I think it's in the realm of possibilities, but I don't 10-1. I need like 30-1, 50-1, something like that. Like I need way more, much bigger price.
Okay.
Because Sam Howell sucking and Jacoby Brissett not getting them any wins, certainly a possibility.
Next coach fired, Ron Rivera.
What is that price?
7-1. Doesn't, I mean, these prices always feel a little shallow.
Yeah, they're pricing it in. We got to maybe do a whole episode on next coach fired, because I feel like that's always a fun episode.
Who's gonna lose their job next? Losers.
The fantasy and Twitter community wouldn't even touch that. They're like, how dare you make light of a man losing his job? Ron Rivera puts food on his family's table, and you're making light of it.
Can you imagine if Latrell Sprewell happened today? Oh, what is he doing? He has kids to feed. Why would they treat him that way?
There was a funny, you saw the Jordan Addison where he claimed that now it was at 3 a.m. and he claimed he was going 140 miles an hour because his dog was having a medical emergency. So I don't know if that's actually what happened, but everyone was sticking up for him going, yeah, you got to drive 140 miles an hour. I mean, you can do 100.
First of all, anyone who's like, hey, what kind of car do you have for that to not be a reckless speed? Because most cars are feeling a little dicey once you hit.
I did a little digging. He was on an interstate, so that I'm like, all right, 140 on an interstate. You have a nice car,
or the cop didn't take a breathalyzer.
Yeah, so we'll see. But it was fun. Immediately, everyone's like, okay, that's cool. Do 140. But if you're in a nice,
invoke the clause of pet. Dog.
Put it this way.
We all like dogs.
Yeah. If you're driving out to Vegas at an odd time and you're on that like stretch of I-15 and you're in a nice vehicle that can handle 140, I got no problem with you going 140. I have to see the interstate before I pass.
Don't get me started on speed limits. Lot of
get off. I don't have the lawnmower sound effect loaded.
A lot of questions as to what speed limits actually do for us.
Dylan O'Donnell saying he did 140 in a Mercedes GL 450. It was nothing. Yeah, I mean, you go over to Germany and what's that? The Autobahn, that highway. There's no speed limit. Like, you gotta. If you have a nice vehicle, you can.
You know what it is though? People in this fucking country don't understand to get to the right if you want to drive slow. In LA, people just plant themselves in the left lane going 65,
or they don't make a turn on red. All right.
Oh wow, that's risky. That's
enough bitching.
That's it. Nothing else. Do anything about them finishing last in the division?
No, that's not. I'm sure the price isn't tempting.
Okay.
What is the price? It's probably like what?
You're not tempted, so why do we have to talk?
Try and tempt me.
All right, the price for them to finish in last place -165.
Yeah, come on. Giants could easily steal that.
Oh wow.
All right, so we have Arizona Cardinals, Tampa Bay Bucks, Houston Texans, and you just heard the Washington Commanders NFL team preview.
Actually, I'm sorry, I did have one more noted down.
Sure.
I forgot I wanted to throw this out. The division wins. They set the division win for Washington at 2.5.
Wow.
They generally don't beat the Giants.
Okay.
So they'd have to sweep one of the other teams. They had 2 last year and one of them was a meaningless game.
Yeah. But they have division games. They have another one against the Cowboys late.
I'm
Yeah,
going under.
I would go under, but I'm not gonna add it to my sheet.
Add it to my sheet. I'm
what's the juice?
Minus 135
on the under.
Yeah.
All right. It's not a bad bet.
I don't know where they're getting it. Where are you finding the 3 wins?
I mean, they could split with every team in the division. I wouldn't be shocked.
I don't beat the Giants.
All right. You heard it here first.
It's a flow chart.
Hey, we're going to be back 2 days continue, but we're sneaking in a bonus episode. It is a fantasy football best ball draft over on FFPC. We're going to be streaming it live, youtube.com/sports gambling podcast. So Tuesday night, AKA today, depending on when you're getting the podcast, we're going up against some noted professionals in the fantasy industry and a bunch of Joes. We are one of the long shots according to some pricing model there. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. We'll be back on the stream tonight.
Yeah, watch us argue about not drafting Eagles.
sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. Again, appreciate the support. Take down corporate gambling.
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
For the Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean, second the money green, and he's Ryan.
I'm going to miss Riverboat Ron when he's gone.
Kramer, let it ride.